Hello and welcome along to the On the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Zayn Nabbi. I'm coming from a snow-swept Kenosha, Wisconsin, where I'm visiting family. The snow is keeping us nice, it's keeping us festive, it's keeping us cool. And what a better place to give you a podcast that's going to warm you up around Africa's biggest braai. This week, we are releasing our interview with Kaylin Swart. We caught up with her last year, soon after Banyana Banyana had bravely lost 2-1 to England's Lionesses in Coventry. Swart was amazing. She spoke about her personal ambitions, what it is like goalkeeping in the modern era and what that art is like, and from my perspective, my big area of interest. Can Banyana Banyana retain the Women's Africa Cup of Nations because they have that tournament coming up this year? Swart was amazing, insightful as ever. This is a podcast you are going to enjoy, so pump it up and let it warm you up wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome along to the On the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Zayn Nabbi. Joining me with the Chrome Dome, Courtney Freese, the man who won the PSL at Manning Rangers. Courtney, how are you doing? It's good to be in Coventry, isn't it?
Listen, so happy to be in Coventry. Zayn's a Coventry supporter. He's never been to Coventry.
Who would have thought our first game here, Courtney, would be to watch Kaylin Swart and the Banyana Banyana team. Kaylin, this is super special to be sitting down here with you in Coventry. Talk to us about the night before. I mean, this really was, it was a loss for South Africa. It was a 2-1 loss, but in many ways, redemption after the 5-0 loss to Denmark a few days before that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said redemption, but I mean, it's not about the result. We came here to really think about where we're heading as a team and as a nation. But yeah, I think Denmark was a little bit of a tough one to swallow. Not just because of the goals we conceded, but I think also the way we played in the second half. I think the first half really showed how much we've worked and what we want to work on, but second half we kind of lost it a little bit. But I think there's so many lessons to take from it. Even last night against England, we really bounced back from the Denmark result. But again, it's not about the result, but how we showed up and what we did in those 90 minutes. And I'm sure Coach Des has probably spoke to you about, you know, the attitude and how we approached this game, and there's so many good things from it, you know. And when we look back at it, I think we'll be really pleased because we really fought. I think we could have nicked it in the second half, even in the first half.
Well, Timmy had that great chance, didn't she?
Absolutely. And
first half and in the second.
Yes, I do think we could have nicked it in. I think at halftime we could have gone 2-2. And that just shows how far we've come, but also what we're working towards. Because now the team we're in a rebuilding stage per se, you know, and you know, next year we want to defend our title at WAFCON. So these are the steps that we want to take. And I mean, we couldn't have asked for better opponents to really show up and, you know, to show ourselves. But yeah, I think this Euro tour was really fun. It was really good. There's a lot to take from it, and I think when we go back, we'll definitely look at it with a lot of positives.
Just looking at your distribution of the ball and getting the ball out of the from the goal into midfield, moving it forward, is that something that the coaches focus a lot on? Playing from yourself at the back, because sometimes I'd actually see you on the 18-yard spraying the ball. So is that an ideology that we're bringing into our play? Yeah,
we work a lot on it. And I think for a goalkeeper, obviously today's game, football has evolved a lot, especially in the women's game. It's a lot quicker, it's more physical now, but it's also a lot more tactical. And we work a lot on playing out of the back, because I blame Pep Guardiola for this. But anyway.
Me too.
Everyone thinks it's the right way to play now, right?
Yeah, but you know, it works, and a lot of teams get it right. And, but yes, I think that is definitely something that we've worked on a lot, is not just going long on a goal kick, you know, and that's how football used to be back in the day, you know, goal kick, send it long. But now it's a lot more possession based, and our coaches obviously trust us to play and use our feet and make sure that, you know, having to play the ball, pass the ball and move and stuff like that. But yes, it's definitely something that we've brought into our game, and it's not an easy tactic, but I think when we get it right, we look dangerous. And it's all about, you know, just the movement and also the trust of our players and how we trust each other.
Yes.
Especially the players on the ball, and you know, when you're passing, you know that but like maybe Linda or Amo, when you pass it to them, you know that when they turn, it's going to go into the chance and we're going to attack the defense. But yeah, it is something that we've worked on and we will continue to work on because we want to perfect that. I think that is something that is in our ammo, because yes, we ball players, but how comfortable are we on the ball? And you know, especially with European teams, because they're so much more physical than us, so they'll just knock us off the ball. And especially against Denmark, you could, I don't know if you watched it, but you could see that they were a lot stronger than us. But that's not our style. Like, the physicality is not in our style. But I think more and more we are becoming more and more stronger, especially, you know, physicality, because that's something that we're going to face when we go to the World Cups. And you know, even now with the AFCON, a lot of the African teams are very physical, but they're not as comfortable on the ball as we are. So that is something that we will perfect, because I mean, we want to be back-to-back champions. So I think there's a lot to work on, but we've improved so much, especially from, you know, how we move the ball. But yeah, playing out of the back is definitely something that is in our game now. And when we're on the ball, I think we really look dangerous.
Before I hand back to Zayn, looking at the game yesterday, do you think as a team moving forward, a team like England should be more wary of South Africa, or teams in the top 10 after yesterday's performance?
Absolutely. I back my team. Like, you have no idea. Like, I have so much belief in us. You know, yes, we were a smaller nation in terms of ranking, but what we've achieved over the years, I think we deserve a lot more. You know, we've proven ourselves so many times. You know, yes, we obviously 2019 World Cup in France wasn't the best of us, but that alone, for us to achieve that, you know, milestone, going to that World Cup, that was enough to fuel us for 2023. You know, and that, you know, when we obviously played Germany, China, Spain, you know, these three top nations, but when we went in 2023, we looked back and we were like, that's where we were, and we weren't at our best, but we were good. We competed. And then when we looked at, and obviously going into 2023, I think we really outshined ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
We exceeded a lot of people's expectations.
Yes.
Sorry.
And you had the Netherlands under pressure a lot of times, causing them a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that alone just shows how far we've come, not just as a nation, but as individuals. Because yes, 80% of us play in South Africa, no problem. But how we've conducted ourselves and how we've, you know, taken charge of what we want to do, especially in the football world, it's actually an injustice, you know, because we do so well, but we don't have what the likes of England and Spain and, you know, the Netherlands have. But we do what we have, but yet we still show up, and we show that without a professional league, we're still going to compete with you. We're going to go pound to pound, and we're going to, you know, we're going to show up. And I think last night definitely showed that no matter what we do, where we play, as a team, I think we've grown a lot. And yes, now we're in the transition phase where we're trying to, you know, bring in a little bit more younger players, and, you know, a lot of players are trying to, you know, are different stages in our lives now, especially, you know, not with age, but just where we are in our life and football. There's always going to be transition, and that's where we're at now. But it's how we, you know, go about it and what we do when we play these top teams. And but yeah, it's crazy. But no, I couldn't have asked for better position to really show that, or to see where we're at and where we're heading. Because come AFCON 2025, you know, we want to win it, but these are the games that we need to prepare us. Because yes, we're not going to play the European style teams, but if we can compete against England, against Denmark, then we have
confidence. Yeah.
Absolutely, and then we have Jamaica coming up at the end of the year. These are some of the games that, yes, we want to play. It's not the African style,
Sure.
but if we can compete against these teams, then when we go to Africa, I mean, we should be, you know, dominant. And but yeah, it's very exciting to see where we're at, and the fact that they want to play us.
Yes.
I think that is massive, and that's something that we need to, you know, run with. Because now people see us, people see South Africa, they see us as, you know, a team that they want to compete against and they want to play. Because yeah, we're not in the top 10 or top 20, but the fact that we are where we are now, and I mean, playing England, that is something that none of us really thought about. You know, when they told us about this fixture, we were like, no way, you're joking, you know. So those things like that, we were so surprised. But then again, when we thought about it, we were like, damn, like we really come a long way. Because teams are like England, Denmark, Jamaica wants to play us.
Sure.
You know, and we should be very proud of us. We should be proud of ourselves, but also proud of where we've come and what we are doing right now.
Yeah. You spoke about wanting to be back-to-back Women's African Cup of Nations champions. Talk to me about where you think the progress of this team is right now, with the WAFCON in mind. In many ways, do you think you're a better team right now than you were when you won the WAFCON a few years ago?
You know, 2022 is hard. Like, it's so, when you look back at it, I don't think we can replicate that. The team, the spirit, where we were at that time. Obviously, we just came off COVID and things were pretty bleak for us, you know, and we didn't know where we were going. We didn't know what we were capable of as a team. But I'll never forget before we went to Morocco that year, we had a meeting with Coach Des, and she asked us, like, what's our goal and what do we want out of this? And we said we want to be champions. And from the day we left, even before, when we were in camp in South Africa, before we left for Morocco, we all said, like, we want to be champions. And that mindset stuck with us until the end. And there was some games where that we were behind or we conceded and stuff, but it never put us down. And I think that, for me, is probably something that it will stick with us forever. Like, that is a tournament that will be in history, because obviously it's the first time we've won AFCON, and we've been part of finals for so many years.
Of course. And the Nigerians have been a really strong nation, right?
Not
Super
just
Falcons.
walkovers, yeah.
No, and the thing is, like, obviously Nigeria has conquered a lot, and you know, we've always been to the final, but we were never winners. And
Yes.
I think 2018 in Ghana is when we realized that, no, man, we need to take a stand, because we can't get to a final every AFCON and not win. And 2022 was something of, man, it was one for the books, because like, it was a collective. It was a collective effort, and we all had one goal in mind, was to be champions. And obviously going back to back, I think winning it is hard.
Yes.
But retaining it is even harder. I think that is something that not many people can, you know, obtain. But I do think that we've come a long way. But I wouldn't say we are a better team now, but we are better in the sense of where our mindset is and what we want to, you know, continue to do. because now we're going off 2023 and the World Cup and the success that we have had there. But then again, you know, we've evolved as players. You know, some players are going out, some players are coming in, and the coaches have a different idea of or view, or just I don't know, different style or different players that they want in the system, because obviously football's evolving and the style and the philosophy is not going to stay the same throughout. So of course it's a lot of players that are going to come in and players that are going to go out based on what they want and how they want us to play and things like that. So I think we'll be a lot better going into, you know, AFCON, but also if you look at the next World Cup, that's also something that we're working towards, because you know, the youth and a lot of the experience, there's got to be a balance. Yes, absolutely. And obviously Coach Des knows exactly what she wants and where we're heading. But us as players, we just got to show up. You know, we got to show up and make sure that we in the right, you know, position to really compete again. Because we don't want to be a fluke. You know, 2023, yes, we were great, but the next World Cup we would 100%, and we would want to, you know, show that we've evolved from that, but also that that was not a fluke, that we can do it again. But yeah, I think a lot of the players will probably think that, yeah, this is a new team, but we're not a new team per se. It's just a lot of players are, you know, coming in and you know, the style of football and, you know, blending the experience and the youth to, you know, to be successful. But yeah, I think the next couple of years is going to be very interesting, and there's going to be some growing pains, and there's going to be some results like the Denmark game that's going to hurt. But I think there's no failure. I mean, there's no success without failure. And those are the things that when we fail, I think that's when we learn a lot, you know. And
and this team is in transition. It's evolving. When you look at the other women's African giants, who do you think will be your biggest opposition and biggest threats? Is it Nigeria with their superstars? Is it Morocco with their the organized team and great local league that they've invested in? Where do you see the threats at the upcoming WAFCON?
It's so hard to say, because I mean, all of them are evolving. Like, they all are house on fire right now. The players that they have, I mean, Zambia with Barbara Banda, with Rachel Chanda, like, they are thriving in the US right now. And you know, Chawinga, they're all pretty good teams in the US. So yes, I do think African football is on the rise, absolutely. Like I said, retaining or going back-to-back champions is probably going to be the hardest thing for us to do, but because obviously all the nations are really doing enough. They're doing everything they can to, you know, invest and, you know, do enough to make sure that their players are playing abroad and that they're growing as individuals, but also coming back and helping the national team. So yeah, I don't know. Zambia, they look really good right now. Obviously Nigeria has always been good, so they're always going to be a threat. But Malawi, I think they have a couple players that might, you know, shine quite a bit. But I think we focus a lot on ourselves because of what we have and the quality that we have, especially now, you know, not just in attack, but overall. I think as a squad, we have so much quality, and it's just what is going to make us tick and what's going to, you know, get us to that next level to, you know, when we go into the next AFCON, that we've done enough to put us in the right direction to say, you know what, we're going to defend this title. But winning it, like I said, winning it is easy and it's good, but retaining it and going and keeping it, that's the hardest part. It is. So, but yeah, football in Africa is growing. You know, obviously we lost out to the Olympics against Nigeria.
Yes.
But they will always be a powerhouse, whether we like it or not. sometimes we say we hate Nigeria, but you know, some of us
They're
are
just so good.
yes, and some of us are friends with a lot of the players, you know, and
yeah.
because we've played them for so like
Sure.
every year, like we play them all the time. So
And they've been the benchmark.
absolutely, and a lot of the players play with them abroad. So, but yeah, they will always be our enemies. But yeah, I think we have what it takes, and we just gotta tap into what makes us great.
You spoke a lot about collective targets. You've spoken a lot about the future and where you want the team to go. But tell us about yourself. What do you project for yourself as a target? Where do you want to go?
That's a good question. There's so much, like I feel like I have so much more to give to the game. I just turned 30 years old, and people would probably think, oh, she's old now and she's phasing out, but I feel like my career is just starting. It's obviously taken me a long time to be in the position I'm in, and I've had to go through a lot to get where I am, and I don't regret my journey. But where I'm heading, obviously I would love to, you know, be African champion again, but especially club football, I would love to see myself in Europe or playing professionally. I still have that dream. There's some days where I'm like, ugh, you know what, let me just focus on playing club football for JVW, but then there's days where I wake up and I'm like, damn, I should be waking up in England right now, or in Spain, or in somewhere, because I do think I have a lot to give. I do think that I can benefit any team, you know, especially in the highest leagues. And I think some of us are too good to be playing in South Africa and be playing semi-pro amateur football.
Absolutely.
You know, and there's times, obviously, and a lot of us have 9-to-5 jobs. Like, I don't think anyone knows.
What's your 9 to 5, Kaylin?
Well, I coach, and I do a lot of private coaching, and I do like PR work. I hustle. We hustlers.
You know, that's the story we want to know. You know,
because you know, when Courtney was winning the Premier Soccer League with Manning Rangers, well before you were born, he was a teacher and he was a student.
yeah, that was my job.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So a lot of us hustle. We hustle a lot because we don't get paid. We don't really get paid to play in South Africa, and it's more like a stipend, you know. And so a lot of us hustle. A lot of us have 9-to-5s. I mean, 80% of my teammates are workers. I have a teammate that's in logistics. I have a teammate that works for, you know, the government in sports and recreation. I have players that work in a warehouse, you know, for a retail company. So there's a lot of things that we do and nobody knows about, because when they see us on the football field, they think, oh, we play professional football. But there's so many sacrifices that we do. Like a lot of my teammates, myself included, we take unpaid leave. You know, when we're not working, we're playing football, but we're doing it because we love it and it's for the passion. But we're not getting compensated when we're not working, because I mean, football is obviously a part-time thing. Yes, you know, and but yeah, it's crazy. But I do see myself playing professionally at some point in my life before I retire. Like, I think that is a goal that I'll always have. Yes, it's diminishing slowly, only because of, you know, the opportunities that we are given and where we're at. But to compete for the national team, I will give my everything until the day I really hang up my boots, and, you know, until football kicks me out. But yeah.
But you look at last night's performances. Last night's performances is the vehicle that makes that dream come true. 100%. It brings you into that arena where people start looking at, how is this possible? How are these semi-professional players doing this to these nationally fully professional players that have everything on their table? You know, we really hope that dream starts to become a reality, not just for yourself, Because if it doesn't become a reality for yourselves, there's other young girls behind you,
Yes.
still in school, that need that inspiration. So for the sponsors out there, we just hope that they get involved in the game to make it worthwhile. You shouldn't be having a 9-to-5 job. You shouldn't be, you know. That's wrong. That's so wrong.
It is, and it's so sad sometimes when you think about it. Because when a lot of us will come to train, because we train at night, especially at JVW, the club that I play for. We train at night because 80% of us, or most of us, besides the youngsters that's in the team, we work. So we train after 6 to 9 o'clock because everyone works, and those are the sacrifices that we make. So yeah, I do hope that, you know, all the things that we're trying to do, if it's not now, I think it will bring us a lot of joy if what we're doing now will benefit the younger generation coming in. Because we need to obviously leave the place better than what we found it, you know. And
As Jurgen Klopp did.
absolutely, I
To
mean,
Liverpool fans.
Arne Slot is just reaping the
Just
rewards.
reaping the
right?
reward.
I do not know if I'm in good company with these two.
Oh no! No, well, sorry I said that,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
So yeah, like I think like we gotta obviously pave the way for, if, like I said, if it's not us now reaping the rewards, if it's the next generation, then I think we've done enough, you know, to put women's football where it needs to be. But yeah, I do think that we deserve a lot more.
Absolutely.
Only because of where we at, what we show, and despite our circumstances, we
Very
are
true.
still showing up. We are still competing, which is something that we can only be proud of, because we hold ourselves at such a high standard. Yes, we're not playing professionally and we're not playing top level games week in, week out, but it's enough to say that we deserve more, because
Very
we've
true.
done so much over the years, and individually we've improved as players, as people. We've become stronger, and I think it's also just the mentality change. I think 2023 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand definitely, I think it ignited so much more in
Yes.
us, because it was in our wildest dreams to
Created a
achieve.
following.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Not just the following, but us as players, how, you know, we competed, what we did. You know, individuals has grown. We've, you know, put the team on the map. Everyone's seeing us now, and we've exposed ourselves to the bigger market. So I hope that last night was enough, you know, for sponsors, for, you know, coaches or different teams to see us, and because we deserve to play abroad. We deserve to feel like professional players, you know, not just professional in what we do, but where we at, the environment we see ourselves in. So hopefully in the next year or so the league becomes professional, but until then I think there's so much more to still give and to do.
Kaylin, obviously the goal is to do well at the AFCON, defend that title.
Yeah.
But give us a word on the World Cup coming up in Brazil and how important it is to, you know, transition the team so we can be competitive there to maybe get further in the knockout rounds than we did in Australia and New Zealand.
It's going to be a tough task, but I think it's up to us as senior players to really make sure that we drive the culture, we drive the standard that we've set in 2023. And mind you, 4 years is a big gap between where we were to where we're heading, and there's so much that can be done in 4 years. I mean, if you look at 2019, where we were as a team and as people and as players, to 2023, how different we are, where we at in our lives, especially, you know, as footballers. I think that's the transition is mad. Like, it's crazy the transition that we had for that period. But when you look at the next one, obviously Brazil, I think it's going to be an even better World Cup than 2023 because the teams are evolving. African teams are being showed now, and we are evolving, we're growing, we are becoming better footballers. And I just think the investment is going to be even bigger because, I mean, now the next World Cup, everyone's going to want to be at the World Cup.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, leading up to that World Cup, I think you're going to see a lot of teams coming out of the cracks and showing that, you know, they want to compete and want to be, you know, in that in that World Cup. But yeah, I think it's gonna be tough, but I think we're heading in the right direction. Yes, it's still early, but I think it's, like I said, it's up to us as senior players to ensure that, you know, make the players aware of what it is that it takes to get to that, and obviously with the coaches' help. But I think the players' responsibility is to drive that motivation, drive that I don't know, like the courage and the belief, because if we don't have that, then what are we going to do at the next World Cup? You know?
And when I look back to the last World Cup, I took a Pan-African view because I felt like Nigeria could have quite easily knocked out England on pens.
And Australia.
And you guys against the Netherlands. I know you lost, but it felt like that game could have turned on some fine moments.
Close moments.
And I think that's what gives a lot of African football fans, and specifically women's football fans, hope. I mean, it was Patrice Motsepe, the CAF president, who said that Africa's greatest chance of winning a World Cup is probably going to come from our women's teams. Yourselves, Nigeria, Morocco, Zambia. Would you agree with him? Do you think that we'll see a women's African team win a World Cup ahead of a men's African team?
Absolutely. I think with the investments now and, you know, the focus on women's football, we always joke and we say obviously the future is female, but let's be real. I mean, the football is growing. We are really showing up because we really want it. And I think it's also because the men's game is so saturated, and obviously the pool is a lot bigger. You know, yes, our boys are doing really well right now, and obviously they're in the process of qualifying for the next AFCON. We are too, and I think it's going to be it's always going to be a tough conversation.
Absolutely.
Because men's football, women's football, we're on different scales. It's chalk and cheese, you know. The amount of money that's invested, the amount of money that's put into men's game is ridiculous. And if we could have a fraction of it in the women's game, I think we would be miles ahead of, you know, where we are right now.
But the women's game gives so much more that's different to the men's game. And I'll say this to you, being a supporter and sitting in the crowd yesterday, the men's game doesn't give that. It doesn't give supporters the ability to gel and sit together. Does not happen. It doesn't give so many families to come together, especially young girls, to come into a young stadium and watch. It does not give that. It's a more cutthroat, brutal supporter band that's out there.
Very tribal in men's football.
Very tribal. But in ladies football, I was thinking to myself, wow,
a lot more respect.
Anybody can come and sit and watch it.
Absolutely. And you say that, but I had that realization last night, and I was like, wow, when I looked around, and obviously when we walked around the field, we clapped and we said thank you to all the fans, but the fact that we saw so many kids, so many young girls, those young boys, I'm sure there was a lot of, you know, fathers bringing their daughters. That for us, that's a win for us, you know, and not just for us as South Africans, but women's football, that's a win. And, you know, the people that, you know, we saw that work here and how they speak about, you know, women's game and the Lionesses and what they've done for, you know, football in this country and, you know, the young girls, and a lot of them have daughters now that when they see us, they look at us and they see us as role models now. And for us, that is, I mean, that's a win for us because not too long ago, everyone was looking up to the men's game and role models in the men's game. But now
the men's game is not that accessible to.
Exactly, and now that we are role models, people want to play football because they see a Kaylin, an Andile, a Linda, Amo, things like that. And I think that's how much we've evolved, and that's where the game is heading. But yeah, last night was just a testimony to, where football is, where women's football is, and how much more we can bring to the game, not just from what we do, but how we are as people and how we are marketed, and what we can bring to the next generation and what they can take from us moving forward, because that's what we want. We want to leave a positive legacy. We just don't want to leave a legacy to say, okay, we've laid this foundation, go take it. We want to lead a positive legacy, because when they come in, it's not been the national team, but just club football. When they come in, the next generation comes in, they will take it to new heights. Absolutely. Yes, we've brought it to where it is now, but they will take it even further, because that's the direction we are heading, and it's very exciting. And I'm just happy to be a part of where we are now and be a part of the national team, and be a part of the team that's going to make a lot of history. And but yeah, it's very exciting, and I can't wait to see where we're going and where we end up.
Kaylin Swart, thank you for joining us on the pod. It's been a real pleasure. For anyone listening out there, get in touch with us. OTW_podcast on Instagram, Twitter, X as they call it now. Also, also on TikTok for young people like Kaylin who are 30. But it's been a pleasure. Once again, congratulations on a wonderful performance against the Lionesses. And we wish you well for the WAFCON.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I hope it was a good listen for everyone.
Listen, it was
a great listen.